recruitment and retention efforts, certification incentives, facility maintenance and repairs, vehicle maintenance and replacement, operational expenses, and the continued delivery of professional code enforcement services to the citizens of Nelson County. This afternoon, using a guided PowerPoint presentation, I will walk the departments. I will walk you through the department's current financial position, explain the proposed fee revisions, discuss their projected financial impact, and outline how these additional resources will be utilized to support both the department and the citizens we serve. I appreciate your time and consideration. I welcome any questions you may have following the presentation. So this is us. Like I said before, I wish the laser pointer worked on the TV, but it doesn't. So just trying to follow along with me without it. That's our current financial position as stated. Annual operating budget of $432,000, an average annual revenue of $358,000, a revenue recovery rate of 83%. This leaves us at an annual average deficit of 17% or $74,000. Now I'm critically aware that the naysayers or the negative people will say immediately, well, they must be overstaffed, or they must be overpaid, they must be over something. I've looked into all of that. We are at average or below on all of those things, and there is no way that we could function with less staff. It's just not possible. That said, let's see. So, current and proposed permit fee rates. Our current rate is $5 per thousand of project value with a minimum fee of $25, meaning anything up to $5,000 or less is $25. The proposed rate that I put together, it's two options basically, but the first option is, actually there's three options, but the third one's kind of out there. So the first one is very simple. It's a $1 per 1,000 of project value increase with a minimum fee of $60 up to $10,000 versus the 5 on 1,000 and then 25 up to 5,000. This would give a projected revenue increase of 20%, which is an additional revenue of $71,600, bringing our new annual average revenue to $429,600, which you can see down bottom. The reminder, it's pretty close to our average annual operating budget. Well, that is our annual operating budget, but our average annual revenue of $429,600. Obviously, that goes up some years significantly, goes down some years significantly. It really just kind of ebbs and flows with the economy. That's option number one. Option number two is an additional $75 flat fee with no minimums. So in addition to the $6 per 1,000 from zero to proposed work value. So essentially any and all permits, and I have a chart to show you, any and all permits would be $75 immediately for an administration fee, and then $6 per 1,000 of the value beyond that. We average, again, higher, lower, about 655 permits, all these averages over the last 4 years. The potential additional revenue from $75 flat fee is $49,125 based on the annual permits, which is equivalent to 13% increase on top of that. That's derived from someone, multiple people and other localities, etc., through lots of research saying, oh, well, to get the program, you should be at $7 on 1,000. Well, a chart that I'm about to show you in a minute that will show you that 7 on 1,000 would increase at 40%, but it's really top heavy. So it really hurts the people who are, in that higher echelon, right? Versus spreading it out evenly and not hurting anybody, low and high, right? Just a little bit across, let everybody carry the weight. So that looks like this with current average revenue of $358 and the fee rate of 20% with the $1 on 1,000, that would add $71,600, and the $75 flat rate would add another $49, which would bring the projected average annual revenue to $478. Now, when you see this and you think, oh, well, we got an operating budget of $432, why do we need to go to $478? Later in this PowerPoint, we'll touch on things like, how the how the budget doesn't necessarily include things like utilities, taxes, building maintenance, infrastructure, vehicle maintenance, vehicle replacement. You know, we're doing 25,000 miles a year on these cars, and after 5 years, you know, they're shot. So, you know, we're replacing them every 5 or 6 years. And there's, you know, 3 cars in the department that handles, you know, lots and lots of mileage. Here's the chart I was talking about. I'm sorry that the laser point's not working, but essentially you can see up top that it's a 5 on 1,000, 6 on 1,000, 7 on 1,000. Underneath that, with the proposed work value on the left, you actually have this chart in front of you is the proposed work value, and then you can see as you go across, you know, the changes that it would. I'm actually going to walk up here just for this one because laser point's not working, but essentially, you know, the change. This is the current permit fee using 5 on 1,000. This would be 6 on 1,000. So you can see that the price changes are nominal at best, right? Essentially, they are 20%. So this would bring us up to here, where our operating budget is 432. So this is almost a must if you want to, you know, not be subsidizing with the general fund. This is with this plus the $75 flat fee. You can see this is where we're at. This is where we would be. Versus this is where we're at, and this would be the 40% increase. You can see where this is very similar but much higher down here. Where this is almost a must, this $75 flat fee keeps us really close in the higher numbers, right? And then brings up the lower numbers. Not significantly, they appear that way in everything to 5,000, but once you hit 10,000, it's very nominal, right? So all the numbers are very similar, but that's what we get down here with this 75 flat fee and the 6 on 1,000. We'd be in this range, which would pretty much, you know, set us up for future growth as well, and not be such a burden on the higher echelon folks. You know, the people who are building, you know, $500,000 and more, right? Or even $300,000, $350,000 and more. It would just increase the lower numbers as well. So the alteration proposal summary is essentially, you know, these are side-by-side comparison, the original fees. This is me proposing the 75 flat fee plus 6 on 1,000. Obviously, you can, you're the board, you can do whatever you want with it. I just put this together based on this, thinking about future growth and things of that nature. So essentially, original fee of 25 minimum plus $5 per 1,000 based on the value of the work. And the proposed fee being a $75 flat fee plus $6 per 1,000. And that kind of follows that through the trade permits. It's the same, and the demolition permits is the same. It's the same original fee of 25 minimum with a $5 per 1,000, right? It's that on all of these permits. I'm just, you know, these are the different types of permits we have, and essentially it's following suit through these. Signs and displays follow suit. And manufactured homes is a big change, and, you know, only necessary if you decide, but there are probably 8 to 10 manufactured homes that come through our location on an annual basis. We're still only charging them $175 for. I mean, some of these manufactured homes are $400,000. I mean, they're not like they used to be. They're not the $60,000 and $80,000 affordable home that they used to be, right? And then I've actually spoke with some of the, and that's, you know, no reason to sway the vote, but I've talked to some of the manufactured home dealers, and they're essentially saying, you know, they have a set cost for permits, and they charge for that regardless, right? Like, we have a set cost, it's gonna be X. Let's say it's $1,500, $2,500, whatever they think it's gonna be. That's what they charge, right? So in some cases, probably not all, obviously I can't testify to all, but in more cases than I would like to say, I've had conversations, that homeowners get charged anyway, right? That permit money might as well come to the locality who's doing all the work to help them get there. So reinspection fees, $25 per inspection, is what it is now. Thinking, put it to 75. We only charge a re-inspection fee after the second time we've come out. To kind of put that into consideration, say John Smith gets an inspection, we come out, we look at it, there's 4 defects. We write those 4 defects down, we hand it to John Smith, we leave. John Smith calls for re-inspect, we come back, he's only done 3 of the 4 things. We go, why didn't you do the 4th thing? I'm sorry, I'll call you back tomorrow. Okay, well now you're getting a re-inspect fee. We're not gonna do it on the first time, but it's kind of silly. We told you what to do and you didn't do it. And now we've got man hours and vehicle hours and fuel and all kinds of, some of these places like Chicken Hollow, Spiral Run Gap, they're an hour away from the department. A literal hour, one direction. So it's tough to send somebody to Spiral Run Gap for re-inspects over and over and over again because the contractor is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, for lack of better words. So really that just kind of recoups the investment that we're putting into it. It's not like we're trying to make money. That's not the intention. Clearly not the intention. We're just trying to recoup, and this happens more often than we would like to admit, through no fault of the department. Some newly proposed fees that are not listed, that we've never had before. These are more code compliance fees, ways to help us mitigate people who are doing work without permits, and so stop work order of $100 plus a $50 site visit for every site visit, because some people will say, you put a stop work order on them. Some people just tear the stop work order off, and then you'll have to go back out there, and then essentially educate them, not threaten them, but educate them with the rules and regulations and state mandates and what they could be looking at, misdemeanors, fines, etc. And then they finally come around and get back to, code compliance. This happens more often than a normal person would think. Work without permits, something that happens more often than you would think. And then we hear constantly, almost begrudgingly and in a boastful sense from a contractor, all right, you caught me. I'll come and get a permit now. Because there's nothing in our locality, there's nothing in our municipal code that, deters them from doing that. So a $250 work without a permit fine would certainly deter them from doing work without a permit. They're like, okay, well, yeah, I did catch you. Now you have to pay this $250 plus get a permit, right? You do that enough times, those ones who are problem children will stop doing it. Temporary CO, this is for when someone's going to get a certificate of occupancy for a house, but they're missing something like seed and straw on the yard, but we really got to close this week or they're going to lose their interest rate. Well, we don't want to be the reason they lose their interest rate. So if you can prove to us that the bank is saying that, if you can prove to me as the building code official that the bank is saying you're going to lose your interest rate, I'll work with you on your temporary CO as long as the house is safe and there's some minuscule thing like grass, right? But if I issue a temporary CO, it's an act of Congress. I mean, it is literally, I would not be able to take the CO away from them. And lots of people know that. So it's just like, it's an ongoing thing. So $150 fee for a temporary CO and then $150 a month fee for every month that you have it will entice them to get that grass done, right? So they can get a real CO. Plan amendment, $50. People do plan amendments all the time. We have a $25 plan amendment fee, and the plan amendments can be hours long at times, depending on how long the plan amendment fee is. So that's just a recoup cost, and then of course cancel permit fee. We've got administrative time in that through multiple processes before it even makes the plan review. So if they cancel, we're just trying to recoup some of those funds. Amusement device fees. These are old fees. This is what they used to call them back in the day. These are some of the fees that have been updated for 20 plus years. This is what the rides are called nowadays. And these are the typical costs in other localities for each ride. There's a part down bottom that says exceptions, the nonprofit remains. I would like to just make sure people are aware that when say like the Ruetan Club or the Firehouse puts on one of these things, they're not charged because they're a nonprofit. The municipal code says that they are not to be charged, and we do not charge them accordingly. So that will remain. But there are lots of people who have bouncy houses that rent them out and things of that nature, who get annual inspections, and we need to drive all the way to, one of them is all the way in Windjammer, one of them is in Montebello, and one of them is in the top of Afton Mountain. We just go out there and inspect their bouncy house so that they can continue to rent it out, and that's where these fees come in. Erosion and sediment control, there is currently no fee for complaint-driven fees. I put on there a $75 site visit, only for substantiated complaint-driven and unscheduled site visits that result in necessary permitting. So if we go out there, say John Smith calls on Jane Doe, and Jane Doe really wasn't doing anything, nobody's gonna get charged for that. We go out there and Jane Doe has destroyed half of the mountain and she requires a permit. Well, that initial visit's gonna cost $75, and then she's gonna need to come and get a permit. It's really just recouping our time that we had to talk to John Smith, we had to, plan to go out there, we had to put all of the information into the data software, we had to make the visits, sometimes multiple visits, leaving notes to call, and then finally getting in contact with them and then coaching them through the process. $75 doesn't touch the amount of time and effort we have into those types of things. Land disturbance inspection fees. These are our old fees on the left and newly proposed fees on the right. Essentially, this is, how many times we have to go out based on the project. The project's perfectly flat. It's very little. We have a scoring system that we do this. It's perfectly flat. It's not going to get in the roads, not going to get in the waterways, not going to get on the neighboring properties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The score is so low. It's $35 fee, and we come at the beginning, we come at the end. There are lots of variations in the middle while contractors are driving in and out of the process. They get dirt on the roads. We have to tell them, hey, you can't get dirt on the roads. You got to sweep it up. We got to make site visits for those things. So it's not always cut and dry as that. But regardless, $35 isn't even covering the administration fee for us to put in that type of information. So these haven't been updated in a very long time, and just updated them to match the hourly rate of the person based on the average time we go out there, how long the project is, how many times they would need to go out there, et cetera. And it's really just recouping that money based on those visits per hour, per visit, per time of the project. So just know that while this is a very small amount of information, a tremendous amount of thought has gone into everything I'm presenting to you today. To be justifiable and given to you. Key findings for the information I've just given you: most minimum fees increased from 25 to 75. Good evaluations from 5,000 to 6,000. New enforcement administrative fees are introduced. Amusement device fees are modernized. Expand right by type. ENS land disturbance inspection fees better reflect inspection workload. And proposed changes align fees more closely with actual department costs. Comprehensive fee evaluation, all building department fees have been reviewed, fees adjusted, modified, or retained as appropriate, includes building, trade, miscellaneous, erosion, and sediment control, land disturbance, and amusement device fees. The changes are based on current and future operational needs. This is the Virginia Code Authority. This information is given to you as well through the Code of Virginia that allows us to charge. The use of additional revenue, this is the second part. That's kind of the end of the first part, bringing us into the second part, which is shorter than the first part, but still equally important in my eyes. The incentive and retention program is something that I came up with 2 or 3 years ago and talked to the county administrator about. And the county administrator said that she thought it would be, a good idea to continue to talk about it, maybe use it as a pilot program and put together something and we would discuss it. So I'm very appreciative to the county for that. The building department is typically a revolving door. People come in, use it as a stepping stone and leave. And there's a lot of training involved, as you will see in the certifications that I'm about to show you. A tremendous amount of training, tremendous amount of time and effort put in, mostly by the building code official, to get people where they need to be, and then they see, they feel like the grass is greener, and then they jump ship and move to another locality. I've been very blessed that the individuals in our building department currently appreciate the work environment and the pay study that was created, and that is extremely helpful. The other localities that have done pay studies are still unfortunately higher than we are, and I feel threatened on a weekly basis that people are going to jump ship because, let's all face it, at the end of the day, we're all doing the job so that we can provide for our families and put food on the table, right? So incentive and retention program is to try and help them essentially earn education, earn additional salary increases through their ability to educate themselves and prove that education through certification. And our certifications are extremely difficult to attain. Minimum 3 days out of town, 24 hours worth of class, lots and lots and lots and lots of studying, a tremendous amount of on-job training, because that 24 hours is not going to pass you the test. The exam is 2.5 hours long. It gives you a minute and a half per question. It's something like, I forget, 100 and some questions. It's a minute and a half per question. And if you don't know how to navigate that book, you don't get that certification. So building repairs and structural analysis is another thing for the additional revenue. If we choose to do more than the, if we do the 6 and the flat fee, we do more than what the operating budget costs. Some other things that we need to look at are roof wall and sidewall drainage repairs in our building, vehicle repair and replacement. We're currently down 1 vehicle. I would like to go on the record as saying that the vehicle that I'm driving, that I got from the police department, that the gentleman made comment on earlier today, is a heap. And while it does get me from A to B, I do not feel like a critical employee such as a officer who needs the reliability of a new vehicle. So if this thing were to let me down somewhere, I could easily just pull over and call somebody to come and get me. If a police officer is in chase or something of that nature, I would not want to be driving the vehicle that I'm currently driving, right? So kudos to whoever replaced that vehicle for the police officer, because that police officer should not have been in that vehicle going up and down the road. I've been back and forth getting maintenance on the vehicle, and it's been humping and bumping and squeaking and doing all kinds of stuff that scares me on the daily.
So for the record, it's not necessary for you to rush to a house inspection or to go travel at excessive speeds, or if you break down on your way to an inspection, it's not going to cause bodily harm to someone on the other end.
I'm not trying to save someone from imminent life danger.
Thank you for clarifying. We were all certainly worried and confused about that.
No, I'm not trying to save someone from imminent life danger, and it is okay for me as a building inspector, a building official, etc., to drive that vehicle if, in fact, I mean, it's good enough. Don't get me wrong, it's doing its job.
It'd catch you a 2x4 out of square, huh?
That's right, but it is not as critical as a police officer, EMS, etc. So, all right, so moving forward, guidelines regarding I'm going to touch base on the certification and incentive and certification retention program, and then the building repairs, and then I'm going to close. But essentially, just for everyone's knowledge, the guidelines regarding the certification and incentive salary increases would be that new inspectors will begin with a 5-year retention track. And this is the retention part of the incentive and retention. Employees are allotted potential salary increases based on their desire and ability to attain verified education through certifications. A $500 salary increase per certification with a maximum of 3 certifications per year unless approved by the CBO. Now, something like in an ADO, assistant building code official situation, I'm gonna let them run with it because they need those, right? But if it's an inspector, and I'm saying run with it, I'm saying 4, 5 at the most, right? But still, there are 16 certifications. So at 3 per year, that's the retention part, right? We are paying for them to have these certifications. It's hundreds and hundreds of dollars that goes into these certifications, and essentially thousands once you've reached 3 certifications. But there's this tremendous amount of time allotted as well. So it's a benefit for them to gather the certification, but it's a benefit for us to retain the individual while we're paying for them to become certified. So in essence, they earn salary, increase their education. We, go down one more, maximum of 16 certification pay increases for the inspector and ABO, and then a maximum of 5 for the permit technicians, because the permit technicians have the ability to become certified as well and need certification for their job in one particular certification. Current employees shall be back paid a flat rate without COLA for any previous years or certifications that they currently have, which isn't a great deal. I think Morgan is on number 9 right now, or 10. And then the only other one that I have certified right now is Libby, and she's only got 1. So I have a fresh, young crew that are ready to become certified. I just need to incentivize them, because essentially they really only need in their contract 1 certification to move forward. So what's incentivizing them to spend all that time and effort, other than me just saying you need to do this, not being written in the contract. So. Let's see, employee salary shall be increased within 90 days of submitting international and state certification in human resources. And the next chart I'm going to show you can also be used to gauge where future employees should start on the pay scale versus, well, we're going to start you at the minimum. We'll have a guideline to say, okay, well, how certified are you? And they come in and say, well, I currently have 4 certifications and I'm applying to be an inspector. Well, good to go. We can pay you $500 per certification above the minimum for your experience, and kind of allows us, a place to put them versus, well, does this experience really count? Does this experience really count? Okay, projected outcomes, adoption of this proposed schedule will validate or future hires will be paid above the minimum salary offers. Adoption of the proposed schedule will incentivize the increase of abilities and education of our employees, ultimately reducing potential liability of the county, which is huge. There's so much liability, potential liability in my department. It is, other than, I'm sure anyone can mess up bad enough to warrant legal implications, and I won't go into it. The building department has a lot of those. I said earlier, Morgan Barker, ABO, already has 9, Libby has 1. Approval of this proposal will help solidify a potential 5-year retention schedule for all employees. These are the 5 certifications that the permit techs will be allowed to get and be compensated for: permit tech certification, residential building inspector, residential building plans examiner, because they're looking at plans all day. They're not plan reviewing, and I would not want them to plan review. However, it's important for them to know what the plans look like and what they are receiving across the counter, so that we have a full packet ready to go, and our department is, that much further ahead where they can kind of pre-examine the package when it comes across the counter. Same with commercial building inspector, commercial plans examiner. This will help them not answer questions to the point where they're giving the community advice, but they'll at least know what the questions that they are being asked are and how to relay them to an inspector, myself, the ABO. This is what is expected of the ABO and desired for the inspectors. 16 certifications, and this is just a list of certifications. This is not all the certifications that you can achieve. As a CBO, it is extremely difficult to accomplish all of these tasks and get all of these certifications. But these are all the certifications necessary. Now, there are, some cases where, like, you can get the CBO and just be the certified building code official of the county, and then all of these other ones kind of go underneath you, right? Well, if you don't have 20, 30 years of experience, I say this humbly, but like I do, in commercial and residential and all of the things, then it really doesn't matter. So where are you going to get that from? You're going to get it through education. And this is the education ladder that I want for the ABO, and I would like to have for the inspectors, because this takes away a tremendous amount of liability on the department, just because if they have achieved these certifications, then there is some level of, they understand this and they're not just working under my certifications. So there's 16 certifications. Each one of these would be allotted for a $500 pay increase for the inspectors and the ABO, for a maximum of an $8,000 pay increase, which, again, over 5 years' time. The ABO can go sooner than that as far as I'm concerned, because the more certified the ABO is supposed to do what I do in my absence. It doesn't have to be perfectly done, but they need to have some knowledge of all of the things that is expected of the CBO, which is, I say this again humbly, a lot. That's a lot. Shall not be allowed to attain the CBO certification until certifications 1 through 15 have been attained, which is another one of those retention things, no more than 3 certifications per employee or per fiscal year due to budget, unless otherwise noted by the CBO. Certification attempts shall be on this list or necessary to the individual position entitled to attain. A building official will deem what is necessary per employee, per position, per request. So we do have control over the situation if it is or is not necessary. The building department will only pay for extra attempts per exam under the building code official's discretion due to possible budgetary restrictions. It's $250 per exam if they go out and fail the test. We don't want to just fork out another $250 for the exam. The facility supports needs. This is touching back on what the additional funds would go to. Our building is, unbeknownst to us, has a portion of it that may or may not be built on backfill. So, if we're going to fix there is a corner of our building that needs attention. And if we're going to fix that, there's going to need to be some structural and geological analysis of the footing and foundation, which has already been approved through these, potentially, it's been requested through the CIP, and potential engineered pylon repair system may be necessary. There's currently, some rain infiltration mitigation that we're having to do for, that I want to, tip my hat to our new director of public works, who came out and did us a tremendous favor by cutting down some of the trees and fixing the gutter system and doing some other things that helped with the rain mitigation tremendously. However, there are still some things like sidewalk stuff that needs to go the other way. That's only going to be through cost and effect. Interior and exterior maintenance, scheduled and unscheduled facility repairs. Countywide impact of this, building department operates. The building department operations support multiple county functions. In our building alone, which is in need of repair, 3 departments depend on this building. My department, the zoning department, and Sue Baker with waste management. So in conclusion, proposed fee adjustments move the department from an 83% cost recovery rate towards full sustainability. Additional revenue supports code enforcement, staff retention, facility maintenance, long-term operational stability. Virginia law requires these funds to support building department functions. So I know that was a lot. I just got drinking water through a fire hose. Certainly not 10 minutes. I just want to end with saying, in closing, I'd like to respectfully emphasize, very respectfully emphasize, that the board is currently kind of faced with 2 choices. Continue subsidizing the building department through the general fund, which is what has been taking place for many years, or adjust fees so that the users of the services bear a greater share of the actual costs of the services provided. That said, this proposal is policy decision rather than simply a request for fee increase. My goal is not to make the building department profitable. My goal is to ensure that we have the resources necessary to provide professional, timely, and consistent service to the citizens of Nelson County while responsibly maintaining the facilities, vehicles, and personnel required to accomplish that mission. I know that was difficult to get through. It was a little dry on my side too, but it's all necessary and as pared down as I could pare it down. I there any questions?
Well, if there's anyone who wants to know what it is you're doing and how the costs and benefits are related to the type of work you do, I sure hope they're here and paying attention, because I thought you did a great job putting that together.
Thanks, sir, I
Thank
appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's,
it
it's
was a great
certainly my
education
goal.
for me.
Certainly my goal on a daily basis to be transparent to the public and the board, the county administrator, and, really just kind of have the best possible intention, for county administrator, board, the county's whole, but my department as well. I mean, the department is in need of things, and, this could help provide those things, and if these things don't come through, then so be it, but, this is my opportunity to at least
All right,
try.
it's a question. When it comes to this, is this an action by the board or is this done administratively?
Well, any change to these fees would, entail
Public hearing?
a public hearing
Okay.
on a new ordinance.
Right. I do have some comments and some stuff, since we're getting into the budget and appropriation, probably should get through that and address that. My suggestion, some of it's just, a couple of the fees I would look at. So for example, like cancellation of a permit. I don't think we need to penalize people who actually legitimately want to cancel it. But reinstating one, absolutely, which I guess that is already in place. When it relates to manufactured housing, most localities treat them as the same as site built, especially with the recent code changes allowing manufactured housing in all zoning districts. There's no reason not to treat it the same. So there's no issues on that front. When it comes to the rate change, I think it would probably be a little bit advantageous just to speak with the builder community a little bit, just to give them a heads up, because a lot of them have already priced jobs. And what time frame you're thinking of implementation of this.
Yeah,
So-
I took that into consideration. I
Yeah.
did speak with a lot of the builders. The majority of them were certainly not on board with, the $2 increase, but the majority of them were on board with the $1 increase and, didn't see any problem with the $75 cap, as they understand that the $75 flat fee is
Yeah.
more for the people who are doing the
Yeah.
$10,000 jobs and less.
And I understand that. What I'm saying is that we just need to have a pretty clear cut start date so that it gets out to those builders so that when they are pricing their jobs, they have it reflected. Because as you just mentioned, I mean, a lot of those guys are not just doing $1 million houses; they're doing $5 million houses. So
So when we say we're gonna go to a public hearing, is the date defined?
I don't know if we
In
pick
that?
one.
No, that has not been
Well, I'm saying,
discussed or decided. You would pick one at that time.
Right, right.
Yes.
For implementing.
Yeah.
what's the suggested amount of time?
I 6 months at least, 6 to 8 months. I mean, if
I
you're
was
looking
thinking January first.
either
Yeah.
January or July 1st thing, it depends on kind of how we want to look at.
Yeah,
schedule.
yeah, I clearly have zero issue with when it is implemented. It's just more along the lines of,
Yeah.
will it be?
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and then this two-part problem and, or two-part, I don't know, request rather. And if the second part is solely on the, county administrator, then so be it.
You're
But
talking about the
the
supplemental.
Retention.
Incentive and retention. Yeah, but this has been on my to-do list, and I have been not trying hard enough to really, get it in, but I have been mentioning, being here for about 2 years, and now I'm here, and it's just been something that I've been needing to unpack, and, something that my people are, excited to hear about, and I just wanna make sure that
Great.
everyone is aware of that.
Jeremy, when did you say the last time these rates were adjusted?
Yeah, so, based on the dates that I saw in the municipal code, meaning, it's my understanding, and I don't know this for sure because I haven't asked Mr. Payne or, Ms. McGarry. But to my knowledge, when there is a little date in the municipal code, when a change has been made, they'll put like a little date in there saying, this is when we last looked at this. And, those dates were early 2000s, late 90s. I can revisit that though and make darn sure, but it certainly has been a while.
Just want to mention that some of the new proposed fees, we would just need to double check the state code authority to implement those. And that would be, we would do that as part of the, process in generating the draft ordinance if you all wanted to consider a public hearing to amend the ordinance.
Yeah.
I would also like to say that, you know, some of the newly proposed fees, they sound kind of harsh. They're not intended to be, and I think everyone here knows me well enough, that we would never, ever use a fee in a way that was egregious to the public or hurt someone in any way, shape, or form. It's really more along the lines of, we have this, we don't want to use this, we need you to come into compliance, help me help you, right? But right now, I don't have any of that, and it's more like, hi, you caught me again, you know, kind of thing. So it's more tools than wanting to charge someone the fee.
Sounds good. So staff's gonna work with you, find out what's legal, and then have more discussions, it sounds like.
Okay.
All right.
Unless the board were to want to authorize a public hearing today, and we can work those details out, that's an option. Or you'd rather us work the details out to come back for the authorization to go to public hearing?
I'd rather us make sure what we're doing is legal. I think that's nothing wrong with that.
Well, it just gives less and less months for the building community to fall in line if the start date's January.
Yeah, I think we could set a date and work out all the details.
It's part of the presentation by staff at the public hearing.
Well, my only point was referencing some of those specific fees. I mean, I guess you don't need to find out if they're legal or not. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah, we would certainly.
It
find
would
out
be
if they're
done
legal
before the public hearing.
So this
Those
public-
details aren't necessary to
So-
be in to announce public hearing, right? All those details don't have to be in the announcement for public hearing, do they?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than taxes where you can have to set the rate and you can only go less than the rate.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I'm saying, unlike real estate or personal property taxes, you can't just do a public hearing for a specific rate and then reduce the rate. We're just gonna do a public hearing announcement and then people will find out what's on it.
Yes.
So that is the difference.
And the tax rate.
Okay, so that's
Then a
lot
tax
more
rate
difference
announcement,
than
yes.
what I'm used to.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So,
I mean, I think it's just advantageous to the builders, like you said, Dr. Liggins.
I'm tired of dragging our feet on this.
Yeah,
okay, let me just note, Amanda reminded me that July is likely to be a busy public hearing month. You may want to, if you proceed with authorizing the public hearing, go for August.
Well, we're here already, but maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're feeling.
And if that means we need to push the implementation date to February, or
Yeah.
then so be it.
so we look at August.
All
I
right.
think August would still make it possible for
Yeah.
January 1.
And Jessica, to your concerns, I also agree with those concerns. And if a builder comes in and talks to us about the fact that they have priced it and, you know, they can show any type of evidence whatsoever, then I'll be happy to work with them at the old rate and just make note of it in our system.
I don't know how that's
I
gonna
don't love
go.
that.
I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think you should do, don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Don't
don't-
do that. Don't do
I'm
that.
okay
It's
with
gonna
not
make
doing
that
it as well. I just
complicated.
want to let you know that if that's.
There's
something
not that many lump sum
needs to be done.
contractors in Nelson, other than
Sure.
for smaller projects, so.
We're very handholdy,
Yeah.
building department.
All right, does anyone want to authorize a public hearing?
All right, I move we
in
authorize
August?
the public hearing in the August regular meeting, evening.
With an implementation date of January 1.
Let's not do that until we get
Yeah, I
to that
said we
date.
need to have
Yeah.
a public
We would
hearing.
include that date
Yeah.
within the new ordinance
Yeah.
for consideration.
Yeah.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Do we need to discuss the retention part or no? Yes,
I would love. to
she is
do that.
nodding.
Yes.
So have you,
While we're all here.
does staff have any comments on this, how this works with our pay study and all that? Or is this kind of a unique,
It's more of a unique situation. I would say.
how do you feel this is gonna be implemented? How do you feel implementation of this is gonna be? Is it gonna be something easily monitored? Is there a lot of, obviously, there's always some level of discretion in administration on how we handle specific instances of retention. But I'm just curious, cause
Right.
this is unique. And it's-
I mean, I can foresee that we would develop some sort of like standard operating procedure for this for the department. I can work with Jeremy on that. And he and I could just work closely together as far as implementing it. I don't think it would be too hard to implement right out of the gate with the current employees we
Sure.
have. Going forward, we would just work together to get,
Okay.
to implement it with new employees.
I work in a profession where certifications are required to work and keep up, and there is, I think it's very important once someone has gotten these certifications, retention is becoming a huge problem everywhere. And so bobbing and weaving and trying to adopt new ways to keep people, I think, is an excellent idea. It's just not the culture anymore. People stay in a job for 30 years. So if we can keep them for 10, like that,
Or
that,
even 5 for that.
yeah,
matter.
I,
3.
Right, you're right.
Yeah. And I think is we as local governments, we run into this scenario very similarly with law enforcement as well. I mean, competition is all your neighbors around you. It's always going to be that way. You just hope you provide something and that you attract individuals who have interest in staying in Nelson. And as in every intention of any government position, we're not always going to win on the dollars and cents, and we can't. But we can do the best we can to provide them some quality of work environment that makes them want to stay. So I think it's very reasonable. With the certifications, I think the only thing that I would look at this when $500 per certification, and of course in the builder world there are some certifications worth a heck of a lot more than one. So, and I understand maybe that's the beginning part, but if I'm a guy who's getting towards the tail end of doing the harder stuff, especially commercial inspections for mechanicals, electrical, and plumbing, I mean that takes a lot of understanding drawings, design, and specific products. So there might be something a little bit more, but again, then that's getting closer to that CBO certification too. So
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you said that, Jesse, because that is something that, if Mr. Gary and I are gonna work together on this, I might bring up, because you're right, some of those certifications are far more difficult. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're all difficult in their own way. But some of them are, like the CBO, for example, is just, I mean, it's a beast, it's a bear. And then, some of the other ones, like, multiple certifications to achieve a specific certification. Like, you've achieved that because you've gotten 4 other certifications that allow you to have this one, right? So like, there are some that are more valuable than others.
Yeah. All right, we gotta get to our budget.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I agree with that, with the retention as it's presented. That's good enough for me. I think a general consensus would be good enough for staff to move forward and figure out how to develop it.
says the one person talking. How
I
about,
don't know. That was-
I'd like 3 people to say, give a thumbs up before we say consensus.
No, I was asking. Sorry.
Anybody else have any comments?
No, I agree.
Okay. All right, look, we got 3. General consensus now. Thank you.
Thank you all. I really appreciate it, and my department does too.
Okay, thank you.
Jeremy?
Yes, ma'am.
FY27 budget adoption. Hey, Grace.
Good afternoon. We're going over the FY27 budget adoption and appropriation resolutions, and before we get to the resolutions, I just wanted to run through the updates we've made to the budget since the public hearing on May 12th. So First, the advertised general fund budget referenced in the public hearing was using a real property tax rate of 57 cents per $100 of value. The budget figures have since been updated, reflecting the adopted tax rate of 56 cents. And there's the addition of $984,683 in the transfer to capital fund for the school capital carryover funds from FY '25. This appropriation was requested by the school board and approved by this board in May. The funds are earmarked for replacement of the HVAC system at Rockfish River Elementary School. And then there's the increase of $6,435 in employee salary adjustments and benefit cost line for updated employee bonus amounts as approved during the May 26th budget work session. Updates to the recurring contingency. It's an increase of $15,000 in agency funding for Region 10, a decrease of $3,000 for the Sheriff's Office Community Programs and Events line item, decrease of $5,000 in agency funding for the SPCA, increase of $101,109 for the approved vehicle upfitter position to the Building and Grounds budget, a decrease of $20,000 for the wintergreen reimbursement for that upfitter position, an increase of $81,000 in the Service Authority fire protection fees paid by the county. Updates to the non-recurring contingency. We have an increase of $30,000 for recreation master plan and a decrease of $26,000 in the sheriff's vehicle and equipment line item for savings associated with the approved upfitter position. We have our resolutions.
Any questions for Grace? All right. I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution 2026-48.
Madam Chair, I move we approve resolution R 2026-48 as presented.
All right, we have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Sure.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Parr,
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford.
Yes.
Mr. Linehan.
Yes.
Dr. Lee.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Then we have our appropriation.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion.
I'm ready to hear it.
Madam Chair, I move we approve resolution R 2026-49 as presented.
Got a motion? Do I get a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing none, we can roll call vote this one if you'd like.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Parr,
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mr. Linehan,
Yes.
Dr. Lee.
Yes. All right.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Quite the
Does the
process.
state have a budget though?
Grace and staff and the board.
Yes. Thank you.
6 months to get here.
Does the state have a budget though? No,
Maybe not.
they might not.
Okay. The exciting part, ratification of the property acquisition purchase agreement.
You have before you resolution 2026-50, which just kind of runs through the timeline of this acquisition. So I'll just, if you don't mind, I'll just read the resolution. It says, whereas approximately 683 acres in Livingston, Virginia were presented for auction by Torrance Reed and Forehand Auctions LC on behalf of Wells Fargo NA, trustee of the Thomas D. Larkin Jr. Trust. And whereas on May 26, 2026, in a duly held closed session pursuant to Virginia State Code 2.23711A6 and in accordance with Virginia State Code 15.21800, the Board of Supervisors authorized the county administrator and county attorney to submit a pre-auction offer of $8.5 million to purchase the approximately 683 acres in Livingston, consisting of tax parcels 67-A-37 and 67-A-39B. And whereas the middle of this purchase offer requires submission of a signed purchase contract committing to the terms of the auction sale known to the board, And whereas the county's purchase offer of $8.5 million was accepted by the seller through execution of the attached purchase contract on June 2nd, 2026, for the total purchase price of $8,925,000, which includes a 5% buyer's premium of $425,000. And whereas the required 10% purchase deposit was subsequently made in the amount of $892,500. Now therefore be it resolved, the Nelson County Board of Supervisors does hereby ratify the duly executed auction contract of purchase for said property as attached, and does hereby authorize the county administrator and county attorney to proceed towards settlement of the purchase contract. One thing I did want to note in the purchase contract on page 1, at the bottom of the page, there is a clause that in the event the purchaser defaults in his obligation to purchase the property, the purchaser hereby authorizes the escrow agent to disperse and pay the deposit to the seller and the auctioneer in accordance with their agreement. So we would essentially forfeit the $892,500 deposit. Happy to answer any questions. Mr. Payne is also here if you need him.
Madam Chair, I'm prepared to speak
All right,
to the resolution as it stands.
all right.
Of course, when we, as a board, think about what we've been trying to do over the last multiple decades, and seeing that in the last 8 years, the board getting more aggressive in seeing economic development on the 29 corridor and try to alleviate some of the burdens of economic development on the 151 corridor. We have made some acquisitions looking at, of course, with the property around the high school, with intent of pursuing water and sewer expansion, which is a critical part of economic development, job creation, and or even residential, whatever that may be, or just to maintain what we have. This particular parcel has not been attainable for a long time, and the board has attempted to get it in years past. And the one thing that we do need as a community is economic development, with the average age increasing, and seeing workforce and really not as many good paying jobs as possible as we should want to see. This property checks a bunch of different boxes, from recreational purposes to economic development. Some level of residential could potentially exist here. Infrastructure build out for water and sewer. This is a very special piece of property, and I think it meets, could meet, of course, be a canvas to a lot of those things. And I think this board will have some very aggressive pushes in the coming years to see that it is done so, that jobs are brought to Nelson, so that Nelsonians can be able to live, work, and raise their family. I think this is a positive thing. So,
Anything else?
if there is nothing,
I do have one part. Yeah, I don't think government should be involved in developments. That was my point at the very beginning. We've been put ourselves in a position now where it's going to cost $892,000 to get out of this. Talking about fiscally irresponsible, I think that would definitely do it there. If we just give away $1 million just to give it away. I don't know about y'all, but I work harder than a ugly stripper for my money. This is, if this is to bring in jobs to Nelson County, good paying jobs, not bottom of the barrel jobs, for economic developments, I'd be on board. But this has got to be a 5-year plan. I want to see this dissolved in 5 years. I know it's a stretch, but before taxes ever get flaunted of going up again, this asset will be liquidated before taxes go up again. But this is a good opportunity. I don't think government should be involved in development and protecting the private sector. That's where it should have stayed at. That's my 2 cents though.
Yeah, I'll agree. I don't think, we need to be involved in development, but I do think it's important for us to take advantage of this once in a generation opportunity to help shape the development that the developers do. And I think that, this is something that we've talked about wanting to act on for my entire time on the board and before, on the school board. I know for 25 years, we've talked about wanting this piece of property. And I think it's important to the future. And I think 25 years from now, the residents of Nelson County are going to look back and see that this was a smart move for the county. The opportunities for job growth, for economic development are with this piece of property. Its location, its proximity to infrastructure with water, sewer, internet, power lines, and Route 29 puts it in a perfect position for us to grow our economy and provide jobs for the next generation, so they don't have to leave Nelson County to work. So I'm super excited about this, and I think we have a lot of work to do, and I'm ready for us to get started.
I have one more thing if possible.
Can Ernie
Go
speak
ahead.
first? Thanks.
Yeah, the opportunity this presents for the county to be holding the cards in its own future, to be able to act on our behalf, on the county's behalf, going forward in terms of housing, economic development, recreation, even conservation. I mean, there's the range of opportunities this provides for the county is really broad. And while I do think that it's not necessarily a good idea to put a date condition in terms of what's happening to this property, there's no question that the value in the time that we have already put forth in terms of what our comprehensive plan and what the discussion between this board and past boards intend for this county is certainly made possible by the acquisition of this property. And the fact that we're not having to, tax our constituents and our people of our community to make this happen, and to be able to do it in a way that preserves our highest credit rating with the county and get this done is, I know this has been said before, a great debt of thanks to those that preceded us on this board that made it, and staff that made this happen and made it possible for this to happen. I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to be putting heads together with all the others to figure out where this is going to go.
No, you had something? I wasn't really gonna say anything.
Alright.
All right,
Madam Chair, prepare to make a motion if you're looking for one.
I'm looking for one.
Madam Chair, I move we approve Resolution R 2026-50, Nelson County Board of Supervisors, resolution ratifying pre-auction property purchase contract for the acquisition of 683 acres in Livingston, Virginia.
I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. We'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford.
Yes.
Mr. Linehan,
Yes.
Dr. Wood.
Yes. Okay. Reports, appointments, correspondence, and directives. Candy.
First off, as usual these days, is the DSS building project. Our truss installation is complete and internal wall framing is ongoing. Electrical work is slightly behind schedule, but not impacting the overall schedule. Meetings with county IT staff, PMA, and state VEDA representatives are being scheduled to coordinate the technological and security aspects of the building. As far as Department of Social Services operations, we had the first DSS Advisory Board meeting on May 19th. This was an introductory meeting where members introduced themselves. A chairperson was elected, and that is Catherine Barron Stump. Ms. DeShawn provided an office and programs overview, and a program called Care Portal was discussed. This program creates a partnership with churches and community partners to provide needed items for families. Ms. DeShawn will follow up with a Care Portal program representative to schedule them for them to present this program to the advisory board. The next meeting is scheduled for June 16th at 3:30 p.m. at the DSS office.
Will there be, any Zoom opportunity for that meeting?
That I am not sure. I don't know.
I'll be at the conference.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would just have to check and see if we would need an electronic participation policy for that.
No
Before
worries.
it happens.
Okay.
Moving on to our transfer station tipping floor replacement. Our transfer station reopened for business on June 1st, with minor work left to be done that did not affect the use of the tipping floor. The draft punch list is being generated by the architect and staff to move the project to final inspection and completion. We've not received full invoicing from Amherst County to know how much of our tonnage was processed by them during the closure or what those costs are. This will be reported out once this data is obtained. On to the Wintergreen Wastewater Treatment Plant. A consent order agreement has been finalized between the Service Authority and DEQ on this matter, and DEQ has initiated a public notice period in accordance with state regulations, which will be from June 15, 2026 through July 15, 2026. DEQ will provide the county with a copy of the consent order once they have finalized web and newspaper public notice submittals, which could be any day now. The DEQ public notices can be found at a website shown here. It's essentially the deq.virginia.gov site, and there's a public notices and enforcement actions tab that you can go to. This will also be posted on the county's website. On the cover of the Caboose project, county staff met this week. We're working on an invitation to bid for the Piney River Caboose cover project. This method of procurement is prescribed by the Virginia Public Procurement Act due to it being construction and the possibility that it will cost over $50,000. With this being a commercial structure, engineered stamped project plans are required for building code compliance. The plan timeline we discussed was issuing the IFB, which is invitation for bid, on June 15th, the 23rd being the deadline for bidder questions, and June 30th, the time in which sealed bids would be due by 2 p.m. This timeline may slip just a little bit if we, so we can either go two routes in getting the engineering stamped plans. The county could work with an engineer pre-IFB to get engineered drawings established and then put those into the bid package. Or we could require the bidders to provide engineering stamp drawings, which may be a little more costly. So we either give up a little time and maybe save some money, or maybe fast track the timeline and spend maybe a little bit more because of that. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more among staff. This next piece is a little bit long. An update on the FEMA generator grant. County staff met with the project contractor, which is EMN Electrical, to discuss electrical infrastructure deficiencies that have been identified during the replacement project. So during installation of the new generators and automatic transfer switches, multiple sites were found to have existing electrical conditions that prevent final inspection approval and limit the ability to fully utilize the new generators. These conditions include outdated electrical panels, undocumented and unlabeled circuits, conductor sizing concerns, and other electrical deficiencies that were not identified during the original FEMA grant scoping process. And that original scope was limited to generator replacement and associated equipment. As a result, additional engineering analysis is necessary to determine the extent of required corrective actions and establish a path toward project completion. So coming out of that meeting, EMN Electrical will develop a quote regarding the creation of a comprehensive engineering assessment for each affected facility. The assessment will include preparation of an as-built and CBO required engineer stamped one-line diagrams, conductor sizing evaluations, inventories of overcurrent protection devices and switches, load calculations, generator capacity utilization analysis, generator runtime calculations, and code compliance evaluations. E&N will also verify generator sizing at the Fauber and Rockfish Valley stations. This quote will be delivered to administration for review and approval prior to E&N starting and or completing those assessments. If the quote for the assessment is too expensive or declined for any reason by the county, E&N will still be required per the CBO to provide engineer stamped one-line diagrams for each facility to successfully complete the original contracts in a code compliant manner. If approved, the engineering assessments will categorize recommendations into 3 levels. So level 1 would just be basic code compliance, which would be identification of deficiencies that must be corrected to achieve code compliance and obtain final inspection approval regarding the current contract, including issues such as conductor sizing violations, improper terminations, ATS installation deficiencies, and required electrical clearances. The next level, level 2, would be about full functionality. And this would be the identification of improvements necessary to allow the facilities to fully utilize the installed generators' full power and load share capabilities and provide reliable emergency operation. This may include transfer switch modifications, consolidation of electrical panels, relocation of critical loads, establishment of dedicated emergency power panels, and more. Level 3 would provide for reliability enhancements that would involve identification of additional infrastructure improvements that would enhance long-term reliability, resiliency, and service life, including panel replacements, electrical service upgrades, modernization of aging electrical systems, and identification of future use capabilities. Then upon completion of these engineering assessments and associated cost estimates, the building official Mars will review the findings for feasibility, code compliance, operational impacts, and long-term benefits. County then could evaluate the recommended improvements at each facility and determine the appropriate course of action, including potential change orders, contract amendments, and requests for FEMA participation in eligible remediation costs. Many of the affected facilities serve critical public safety functions, including fire suppression, emergency medical response, and community shelter operations during emergency events. The engineering findings will also support documentation necessary for discussions with FEMA regarding potential funding assistance for these unforeseen electrical infrastructure deficiencies that were discovered during construction. The county remains responsible for a 5% local match of FEMA eligible project costs. Any approved increase in eligible project costs would increase the county's local share accordingly. And any cost determined to be ineligible for FEMA reimbursement would be the sole responsibility of the county. So I know that was a lot, so if there are any questions. I can
How
try
many
to answer.
departments, are affected by this problem?
I wanna say all but 2. Yeah, most of these buildings are, pretty old and have a lot of old electrical infrastructure, and that's a lot of the issue.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you said there was a FEMA assessment prior to this. Is that, I thought
But
that's
the
what you
FEMA
said.
assessment did not address the internal electrical.
So when we were developing the scope of work for the FEMA grant, there was an assessment done, with a local electrical contractor, but the grant was just to look at just strict replacement of the generators at these locations. And, no assessment was done of the electrical services involved or any of these other problems that have now been identified as needing to be addressed in order to be code compliant at the most basic level.
So what's, somewhere in here, I read something about 5% local okay.
Yes.
County remains responsible for 5% local match, of FEMA eligible project cost. Where's the other 95?
Through FEMA.
Okay,
Yeah, but
so so if this requires electrical upgrades in the buildings,
Mhm.
That would be part of FEMA.
We would go back to FEMA with what those costs are, what the scope is, and try to amend the grant to cover those costs. But,
Okay.
you know, we would have to go into it knowing that if they don't expand the current grant to cover those, or if they don't find any of those actions, or, they don't find any of those as eligible costs according to the grant, then we would be responsible for those 100%.
Who makes that determination?
FEMA.
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 But these are critical facilities, they do provide,
Shelters.
sheltering, so I think, I think we would have a good shot at a lot of it being eligible.
I mean, do we have any ballpark on what kind of money we're talking?
We do not, that's what we're trying
Yeah.
to establish.
I just did an electrical upgrade of a building half the size of Livingston. It cost me 30,000. So
Yeah, this is gonna, and you said it's all but two. What's
I
the
think
total
so.
number? How many are there total?
7?
Yeah.
7.
So are the generators functioning now, or just two of them functioning?
I can't remember the extent of that from the conversation.
I
I
was just
think
curious.
2 of them are functioning. We do have, temporary generators that we could take to a location if it were needed. So we do have a sort of a backup plan, but there is some concern about getting this done as
Yeah.
quickly as possible.
Right? Do we, what two?
I should have looked
That's
it up
okay.
before
I'm sorry. I didn't,
reported.
no
but
follow-up questions, no follow-up
No,
questions.
it's
I'm sorry.
fine, I can follow up later and let you know
Yeah,
which ones,
okay.
but, yeah, it's become a more complicated process.
Yeah.
For sure. And, part of the issue is we have these certain size generators, and if we don't upgrade these ATS things, then you can't utilize the full functionality of the new generators. It would basically ratchet them back to the functionality of the current ones,
Right.
so it's not. it's
So
really
instead
not
of an automatic
upgrade.
transfer switch, it would have to literally go out there and hit the key and fire it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
not
I don't-
just
It's,
that.
it's about separated from the grid, so
Yeah.
you don't kill anybody.
Yeah, and a lot of the panels seem to be
They're old.
old, just kind of a mess, and some of them are even up high, like overhead.
Yeah.
Within the space that you can't even really get to very easily.
Well, and you also, we gotta remember, these are not county-owned facilities, so
Correct.
you got the firefighter whose brother's an electrician doing the electrical work, or whoever the lowest bid, you never know. You don't know what
yes,
may have happened, so.
That's right, and we did talk about that, and, would certainly work with the owners of these facilities to make any of these necessary improvements.
Yeah.
But we will report back as soon as we know anything on, the cost to even evaluate the new scopes, the level 1, 2s, and 3s, and then what those costs might be.
I mean, it's a hard way to get there, but hopefully this will end up being a positive for the facilities.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
would definitely benefit
but
facilities.
Would have been nice to know before.
Yeah. So, let's see, next, I think last on the list, the meals and lodging tax collection and entity tracking. We've provided the monthly charts that we normally do. Lodging units went from 862 to 866. Our TUT and meals taxes collected fiscal year to date respectively are 2.6 million, that's the transient occupancy tax, and 1.4 million on the meals tax, with 1 month remaining in our fiscal year. And you all received the departmental reports for May and June, June. And that's all I have, thank you.
I gotta find it real quick before we move on. On this one here, not, on the tracking of like, the daily log tracking,
Tell what department?
that's this animal control. I'm not pointing fingers, not trying to beat anyone up here by no means. I'm looking at one department log here. They've got two canine transfers out of Virginia and killed one cat. Euthanized one cat. For the entire month. Is there a, obviously they did more than that, I hope.
You serious?
I mean, this is what I'm going by right here, though. I'm not trying to beat anyone up here by no means, but I've got 3 tick marks here for the entire month.
I will be honest with you, I haven't looked at the departmental reports yet, so I can look at that and I can ask some questions and get back to you on it, but I can assure you our staff is doing a lot more than, I mean, that's just the shelter operation there. They're out on the road answering calls, doing reports, you know, building cases,
Like, so this isn't trying to beat anyone
Yeah,
up here now.
but-
It's like,
well, I
it's
just-
gotta be a better way to
public,
track something so you can see what you're paying for here.
right, and again, that's just the shelter operations.
Okay.
Yeah, would you like to see more, a
little
more
bit
in-depth
more.
reporting on what they're doing?
Yeah,
I mean, that's something we can,
Yeah.
I can talk to them about,
I appreciate that.
sure.
Make sure they include the time
I don't need to.
they use to report on the report.
And report on that.
And report on that.
Okay. That try calls too much work here, but, more than 3 calls a month.
Well, that's it on the front page, calls for service 155. That's the first page. Definitely. All right.
What are we doing?
All good?
We're moving on to appointments. Oh, no, we're not. Board reports.
I had a PDC meeting. We had some members who had been on the PDC for quite a long time resign, retire. Mr. Smith, and then we had some reports on a little bit on the RHP before the meeting. Largely, the discussion was about regional economic development. It felt like on the roundtable side. Amazon's has refused, I believe it was the 3rd Amazon data center, which was a 1,300 acre campus. So it's bizarre, and they're paying for elementary school in cash. So there's some localities out there that are making a lot of money in a lot of different areas. There is a very serious discussion about, and this was just us talking amongst ourselves, kind of about what does Department of Defense type jobs look like in this area that continues to grow. What does the future of that look like? What industries are going to be following AstraZeneca? Because it's not just AstraZeneca you get. There's a lot of support service economies around it. So it's kind of intriguing to see that. When we talked a little bit about some smart scale stuff, different localities, it's always interesting to see what other localities run into. And of course, they want more smart scale, and and because for their urban issues, but to stay competitive, they have to contribute millions of dollars to stay active. So we did have our class, which we went through land use. Ernie, you missed a good one. We talked about everything unpopular about topics in land use, and that was data centers, solar facilities, and short-term rentals.
Now, be careful. Saying those words apparently implies that you support them. So
Right.
just be careful what you say and how
We-
you say it.
We were in class to learn about them. Why are you scooching away?
I didn't bring my bulletproof vest.
So it was a very interesting discussion hearing about that. We talked about the short-term rental context, kind of some of the takes on both sides of it related towards housing. They did affirm, and I think it's important as we talk about land use, that if you have a short-term rental and it is an accessory use to a bona fide farm, that there is nothing that can stop them from operating a short-term rental. So I just think that's important that we say that a few times as we think about what zone agriculture looks like and where it is. Other than that, I don't think I missed anything. Ernie will tell me if I didn't, but that's all I have.
Mr. Lanahan.
Cleo meets later this week. Did have Albemarle County Regional Jail Board meeting. Let's see here. Average daily inmate population for the fiscal year of April was 307 inmates, averaging 31 inmates from Nelson. Approximately 10% of the local population of the jail continues to house federal inmates, averaging approximately 16 inmates per day, which remains an important source of their revenue for this facility. Financially, the jail remains in good condition. And it's projected to finish 2026 with an operating surplus of around 415,000 while maintaining required reserve levels. Federal inmate housing revenue is projected to exceed budget by approximately $160,000, and lower than expected inmate medical expense also has contributed to a positive outlook. The board approved a 2% employee bonus funded through the existing budget surplus and compensation board reimbursement, with no additional contributions required from member localities. So that's good. Jail renovation project continues to move forward. Approximately $8.9 million has been spent to date on a $50 million project. Construction is currently about 64 days behind schedule, with substantial completion projected for December 2027. Overall, the authority remains financially stable, operationally sound, and continues making progress on its long-term renovation project. That's it.
Mr. Reed?
One of the things that TJPDC does is they vote on an endorsement of all the smart scale projects for the area, and there was an endorsement by them of the 2 proposed smart scale projects, so it'll go as one. But you do that, and it's one of those boxes you check to be more likely that it'll be funded. So TJPDC did that at their meeting. The JABA board meeting this month was really interesting because we had a really extensive presentation on their Medicare insurance consulting and counseling project, which they do. It's extremely interesting because it's one of the things that JABA does that does not have any age restrictions on it. So anyone that is looking to make sense out of what their Medicare insurance rates are and how they can get better plans and things like that, JABA offers free consultation with them. They've been doing one every year at the library. I spoke with Randy Rogers, who's the head of the program. He suggested that what they might do, since the signups for it don't happen until the fall, that they do a preliminary presentation, one at the library, and I suggested doing one at Tuckahoe for Hit or Stay Wintergreen because they have similar needs and of anybody else in the county, and they have because Here to Stay brings seniors together there, it would be a good idea to do one there too. So they're planning on doing that, so they'll be doing a presentation prior to the October time when they actually do the signups. So if people have questions, they can get them answered early, and then kind of know what they're looking at come October when it's time to start signing up. So that was one of the things that JABA does that I'm extremely supportive of and really happy that they do. Those are the 2 significant things I did this month.
So EMS council met, and the big takeaway from that meeting was they're questioning and want to be more involved in the radio communication upgrade that are being considered. Not quite sold on that expense and that much of a need and the advantages. So it probably would be good for the people, the powers that be, to have those conversations. But I don't know how fast that project's moving along now, or if it's kind of stalled a little, maybe.
I think I wouldn't say it's stalled. I know that Susan, I think, met with them today a little bit. They're just working on kind of fine tuning and taking a slower approach to the scope of the project.
Yeah, well, and that's good because it was a pretty aggressive sales pitch they were making I wasn't sure what that meeting was, and it soon became obvious that it was a Motorola sales piece.
Yeah, I think there are definitely gonna be more conversations planned going forward.
Okay, good.
For sure.
That's all I had.
And so this wasn't even moving to the trunk radio. This was what the plan was for
Yeah.
27 or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, no, the trunk system.
Oh,
The
so
trunk
it's
system.
that is
system.
what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. Is that all you got?
Yep, that's all I got.
Okay. We planning commission met a lot. It feels like, but board of supervisors were part of 50% of those meetings. So, we did get actually a much more in-depth presentation from zoning than we got, which is a shame, but it seemed quite favorable. And his suggestions will be part of our vote when we adopt new zoning stuff. So, and all of the other meetings we were part of, really. So I don't really have much more to.
You were talking about the fee structure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, fee structure. And that's all I have to offer. All right. Appointments. This is a substantial list.
Yes.
But there's only one that's anything, I mean, other than just
Right.
approved, right?
You're right.
Correct. So all of the items on your sheet, and maybe you go through them however you like.
We could probably do a block of them. And then
Or we could just
handle the one that's,
address the one and then approve the block.
alright,
And I will note that, for the Board of Zoning Appeals at the bottom, the alternate that we've been looking for, Justin Shemp is interested. I don't have like an updated application from him or anything, but he is interested and willing to serve. If y'all wanna consider that today, if you would rather wait till he does provide an updated application, we can.
just wait till we get an application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that's as an alternate?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We don't have a Mecca. Well, so there's only one that we're contesting, so Cameron, what are you doing?
Let me get to it. Hold up. Let's do this again. Let's see here. I move that we approve Mitchell Barker for the planning commission in the North District.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to speak on behalf of Phil Prue. She's been an exemplary member of the Planning Commission, very active, very forthcoming on the reasons that she believes in doing or not doing what she's going to be voting on. And I would certainly like to see her be able to stay on as a planner, on the Planning Commission, since she has expressed such a desire to do so. So,
I'll defer to Mr. Lenahan in the North District, but I will say it's interesting that Phil, I didn't realize this until just recently, that she is the longest serving, I don't know what not public
Planning
official,
commissioner.
I guess, in the county. Yeah. she
So how
is.
many years is that?
30, I think she's been on 30, so
Okay.
maybe, I don't know, but, yeah. And I'm number 2.
Hot damn.
Yes. School board combined.
Uh-huh. But anyway,
It has been tradition that person of that district picks the person.
well, it's been tradition that they nominate.
No.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Are we roll call voting this, I guess?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. for Mr. Parker.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Parr,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
No.
Mr. Rutherford,
Yes,
Mr. Lenahan,
Yes.
Dr. Lee.
Yes.
and she does deserve recognition.
Recognition, absolutely.
There's no ands,
Yes.
ifs, or buts about
Yeah,
that.
she
So,
has been a very faithful servant to the county.
yes.
Okay, that's one. Do
we
you want
just-
to do your planning commission?
Oh,
Can we
yeah.
just
I mean, we could do the rest in block.
Approve
We could,
Since no one's-
appointments as presented?
so.
Can we do that?
I think we could just go down the list. Approving Aaron Loving, I would move we approve Aaron Loving to the local advisory committee for the East, William Smith for planning commission of the East, Richard Averett, planning commission Central District, Ernie Reed, Central District Service Authority, Robert McSwain, East District Service Authority, Justin Shemp, North District Service Authority, Robert Yoder for Board of Building Code Appeals, Jerry Lloyd and Alfonso Taylor to the Economic Development, Ernie Reed to the Java Board of Directors.
And then we have an application for EDA from Robert Kraft.
And we'll add in Robert Crouch for the EDA, replacing Larry Saunders, and then leave the rest blank.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Excellent.
Perfect.
All right. Correspondence.
This one. That's where you talking about. That's where you talking.
Okay, the board received in your packets, some correspondence from Charles Wayne Brown of Gladstone, making a formal request for speed limit reduction to 15 miles per hour in Gladstone residential areas. And he has also provided signatures on this particular request. So should the board be interested in following up with this request, the board would need to authorize a public hearing on the proposed speed reduction, in which you would consider a resolution of consent. And then if that passes, staff would work with VDOT on signage and implementation of the speed limit reduction. This area does meet the criteria, the VDOT criteria of a residential district. And when you adopted ordinance 2025-01, that provided the authority for the speed reduction in a residential or business district from 25 miles per hour down to 15 as one of the options. So how would you like to proceed, or just take this under advisement?
I have a question. I know there has been a reason, and I just can't remember what it is, why we have kind of stayed hands off on these speed limit adjustments as a board. And I know something changed recently that gave us the authority,
right.
but we still said, no, we're not gonna mess with these.
We did one.
What?
The one in Gladstone, didn't we do one?
No.
No,
This is
that-
it.
this
That's
is
what's
it.
coming back up
Still
again.
this one again.
It's
the same
still
one.
coming up
Still
again.
And
But there
now-
was a reason that we decided to stay out of this.
I don't remember.
I don't think we had the authorization to do it until the state passed it.
Yeah, but I think there was a reason that, because it opens up a can of worms or something.
Yes,
Robert
correct.
Brown stood up here
Yes.
last month and he said something about 90%, it's 90 or 80% of the traffic that say it's doing 25 miles an hour. And if you take and you drop it down to 15 miles an hour and 95 or 90% of that traffic is not doing that, it's actually illegal is what he said. That's why certain zones on 151 was still at 55 mile an hour versus dropping
And that part I get, he was referring to the Route 29
Yeah.
suggestions that we have, but this is different. And there was something different about this one, and us as a board passing something like this. And there was a reason, and I can't remember what it
Just trying to
was.
Think about the logistics involved. I mean, we would have to take care of maintaining the
It would be
signage,
our
and
responsibility, not, it would no longer be
responsibility.
VDOT,
That's
and,
correct.
and then it opens up every other residential community in the county to come, do the same,
Right.
and I'm not saying that's a reason to be for or against it, I'm just saying, I remember there being more to this than just, oh, that makes sense, let's make it 15.
Right. I mean, we could go back to the minutes of that meeting where this ordinance was adopted and see what the discussion was. I just didn't pull that for this
Yeah.
discussion.
Because this topic has come up before this board,
Mhm.
maybe not this board, but the board
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
that's correct.
a lot.
We've discussed that.
Yeah, and
Um,
we've decided not to act.
Well, there was also very few roads that would qualify, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's only a handful.
I say we do a little more. Personally, I would feel more
Send an email to
comfortable if we
Robert.
did a little more checking. I'm not against it, I just, how do you feel? It's your district.
Well, I think that if the community center truly is going in the middle of this road, that it will need to be addressed eventually. And it does bring me joy. More and more of these homes are being lived in by families too. But the only thing that I can say that's not supportive of this is enforcement would really be helpful. And you can drop that speed limit all you want, but people are going to be going 40 miles an hour down this road.
And
So
again, I'm not saying I'm against lowering the speed limit. I'm saying I want to make sure we have all the facts and know the unintended consequences. The unintended consequences of making this change before we make this change. So,
but it brings me, it seemed the last time it was brought to us by two people, and there's more
There's a lot of
community
us, yeah.
rallying around this.
Yeah.
And it was our plan to make a substantial investment in the community center there, right in the middle of this road. So, make them slow down and look at it. All right.
let's look at it again next month.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. As for closed session,
Directives.
directives.
I'll start. Okay, so, first of all, congratulations on job well done on, the negotiation and, securing the contract for the purchase of the Larkin property. I know a lot went into that. Now, we've got the 300 acres behind the high school, we've got the 680 acres, we've got the whole property. I hope we're gonna start moving forward with getting some plans. And one thing I think that we need to look at, and it's just a coincidence that he happens to be sitting here, but I think we need to seriously look at some timber. We need to get somebody like Billy, Newman to walk the property and just see what kind of what kind of money do we have sitting there? Obviously, we don't want to clear cut, but we do want to select cut and see, because Larkins, I don't want to say believed in, but they didn't allow the timber to be cut. And regardless of what the tree huggers might say, forests need to be cut to be healthy. And we need to get in there and look at this and see, not only for the health of the property, but also for a return on our investment and get some money back out of this. Because there's probably 1.52 million, if not more, in timber on that property. So we need to get on the ball and start looking at that. And I would also like to see us, I know we're doing this recreation study, but we need to, the public has spoken and they want activities for their families and they want recreation, and we need to, what is that?
That's the plan.
Okay, good.
Rec facility.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We need to start moving forward with the property, the 300 acres, and getting some recreation going on. So I know we've kind of been waiting for the water study and all that, but just hope we're.
Well, now we're in a position to where a water study on that property is less important than a water
Then,
study
because
on the
we've
big
got
one.
the other side, yes,
And
yes.
I know you're doing this under directives, but I think it's better to have a plan than to authorize a clear cut and then come up with a plan.
Yeah, and
I'm just saying, I'm just saying we should.
For the record, I said no to clear cutting, and my directive is to let's get a plan.
I
Yeah.
believe this is a great time to create a committee.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I volunteer.
I'll be on that committee. Well, there you go, there's two. Staff and Jerry West, and we'll figure it out from there.
And what's the committee's mission, just so I'm
This
clear?
property.
I would be remiss to not say that, I would like to be a part of such a committee too, and we'd have to take this to a vote to figure out who's gonna be on such a committee if we wanna do that, because I feel particularly strongly that, you know, someone that doesn't have, some kind of a possible economic connection to what might be happening there in the future without, you
Wait,
know,
what?
just because of our backgrounds, to have someone that has a more impartial look to it be on the committee would be important, because there's a broad,
I don't build
possibly
soccer fields, Ernie.
are we talking about the big property or the little property?
I mean,
We're talking
kind
about
of
the
a
300 property?
ecosystem of the whole thing, but
Okay,
I have no,
so are we talking about the entire
we
acreage?
need to talk about the entire.
So there's the
thing.
900
I
acres.
would say the entire thing, but I'm emphasizing on the recreation piece of it.
Shouldn't we do the whole thing? Shouldn't we decide, you know, shouldn't the committee take a look at the big picture and not break it up into sections?
that.
I would be certainly in favor of that.
Well, it is in my district, so.
And I definitely think, actually, you know, we hadn't talked about this, but let's think about, it can be two committees. There could be one focusing on recreation
Yeah.
and one focusing on the full property and how it goes together. And the recreation could almost like report to the full, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think that two members of the board should be the focus of that committee. I think the board as a whole should come up with
You wanna
priorities
work-
for that
So
property.
you wanna have a work session?
Yeah, I think, so, yes,
You want a work session?
absolutely.
Okay.
I
that's
would
fine.
much rather have a work session.
Very good.
I'm just real leery about two members of the board
Sure.
setting the direction for the future of the county, and the other,
We're not saying. that.
and I'm just saying, that's what a committee would probably do.
We did.
That's what a committee might do, and I'm just saying
Okay.
that we should have the entire board do it.
I think we should, Madam Chair, work with staff to work on a work session in the future. So it would be very quick.
My point is, we need to shit and get off the pot.
No, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Comments and stuff.
anyways,
Yeah.
holding on your throat.
Certainly has.
All right, we've done one.
One more thing,
Moving down the line. But we got
Unless
that
I've skipped.
coming up.
Well, Ernie, do you have any directives?
No,
All right, Mr. Lanahan.
All right, Candy, help me here on this one. I want to do a boundary line correction on the top of Wintergreen and on the top of Afton Mountain. I want to be in talks with Augusta County on this. This has been going on long enough. On top of Wintergreen, there's 196 houses that we're providing all the services to, that they're reaping the benefits of. Top of Afton Mountain, we're at a kind of like a gridlock there. Neither locality can condemn. So if we try to take on that whole property up on top of Afton Mountain, something needs to happen up there. It is a complete eyesore and has been an eyesore for decades. So I'd like to ask county staff to start talks with Augusta County about adjusting this county line.
I think I would need board consensus before moving forward on that.
Sure.
On gathering information.
Yes, for right now.
Yeah, I definitely think that, especially on the Wintergreen side of things, that property line and the way, we have no access, currently, other than the gatehouse coming through, that all the burden of that support falls on us. And I would not be opposed to having that conversation just to see what it would look like.
And I think you can also compound it with the tunnel situation as well. You know,
Yes.
what mutual aid that they're gonna be providing and assisting in as we maintain that tunnel. I think that's kind of a two-pronged, in my opinion. could be lead into it,
Related but separate.
related but separate, but I'm just saying in common.
Okay.
While we're at the same table.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
It seems you have consensus.
Okay, so I'm to move forward with gathering information about the boundary line correction with Augusta County. That would include Winter Green and Afton Mountain.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Jesse, sorry,
Um,
Mr. Rutherford.
That's okay. I don't really have anything. I'm pretty done.
Pretty done.
Pretty wore out.
Okay,
Cigarette time.
all right. So for closed session, whoever is going to form this motion, it's A7 is the only one.
Well, our
Oh.
local council left.
Wow.
Okay,
I'm fine with canceling.
okay.
I mean, seriously?
I didn't notice that.
We
he
can
had
enter
left.
into closed session.
Well, that one
Do
says
you,
because
is he gone, or did he just,
I don't know, I could look out the hallway.
well, I'll go look in the hallway and then I'm gonna go to the bathroom while
all
I'm
right, Madam Chair,
But,
call for a
please.
5-minute back
Yeah,
break.
yeah.
But is it, or is he
We'll be
just
back
across the road?